Hello everyone, my name is Devin. This is my friend Trip, and thank you for tuning to my channel, Devin's Mastermind. Okay, Trip, so here's what we're going to get into today.
Right.
We're going to get into the hot topics. We're going to get into who's your favorite boxer, March Madness, NFL Draft, NFL Scouting Combine, NFL Super Bowl predictions, CFP Predictions, and the NBA MVP race. So first of all, I want to know who's your favorite boxer?
I've got a lot, but right now, I gotta say my favorite, just like on the direction that he's on right now, is probably Canelo. He wiped out, I think it was the super welterweight division, and now some are saying that he might go up to light heavyweight, and he's only had one loss, and it was to the great Floyd Money Mayweather.
Oh yeah, Floyd Money Mayweather, yeah.
He's an all-time great, and I think it's just fun to watch greatness in action. So, what about you?
I mean, if you would ask me, I don't really keep up with boxing that much, but if you would ask me my favorite person in the history of boxing, I would say, like Muhammad Ali, because Muhammad Ali, yeah, he's the greatest. I mean, he did a lot of stuff. He helped, this world and all that stuff, make it be a better place, and he was one of the best boxers of all time. And his famous quote is, "The champ is here," as you know. So either way, yeah, he's my favorite boxer, and I feel like he's one of the greatest boxers of all time. You can't take that away from him. He's like number one, just like Tom Brady's number one, probably in quarterbacks of all time. I feel like Muhammad Ali is good. And if you ask me who's my current favorite one, Floyd, like you said, Floyd Money Mayweather. As you know, I do my boxing stuff, and as you know, when we do it, we have to do a Floyd Money Mayweather challenge where you have to hit the bag 12 times and then throw 2 hooks. So either way,
he was a great defensive boxer as well. Very good. They call it the sweet science.
Oh yeah.
To dodge those punches, it's crazy what they do. What do you think about like the influencer of boxing, like Jake Paul?
Oh, Jake Paul. Well, Jake Paul is a little bit of, he's one of them trash talkers and all that stuff. And and I saw him knocked out Tyron Woodley.
Yes.
When I saw Tyron Woodley fail, Jake Paul hit him one time, and this dude just got knocked out. And I was like, how in the heck does that happen? I'm just wondering, because he got knocked out. He got the living snot knocked out.
And he was a former UFC champion.
Yeah. And it was crazy. But Jake Paul kind of puts me in that mind, him and Conor McGregor, but especially, Conor McGregor, he does UFC fighting, and of course, he's a little but then I'm like, but you done got beat by Dustin Poirier twice, and then, of course, when they lose, they want to talk about or say something, hey, your wife or whatever and all that stuff, and that's not good. You're not supposed to do that. Like, I understand, if you lose, sometimes you just got to take it, but you can't be talking about a person's mom, because you wouldn't want him to do the same thing to you, and then or you don't want him to do the same, or however it goes, I don't know. But either way, yeah, Conor McGregor needs to kind of like calm down, because you can be one of them cocky and arrogant people, but then them always be the ones that get knocked out by a quiet person, and you're like, well, dang, you just got beat by this dude.
Yeah, well, because there were some fights where he was kind of quieter, like the Cerrone fight and the second Poirier fight. And then when he got knocked out by Poirier, he then ramped it up and started talking all that smack, and then he broke his ankle. But his return is expected around May, and I think partially the trash talk is what makes him such a huge pay-per-view star. Like, there's a lot of pay-per-view stars like Mayweather, Canelo, McGregor. There's a big UFC fight tonight.
Oh, yeah.
Covington versus Masvidal.
Oh, yeah.
170. They used to be best friends, and then they didn't. I think Covington forgot to pay his coach or something like that. I don't know exactly. And now they're fighting, and they hate each other. So UFC and boxing is very interesting.
Oh yeah. So if you were I would like to see one of these fights come out. I would love to see Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder go at it with each other. Like, who would you want to see go at it again with each other?
Did you see the highlights of the Wilder and Fury, the third fight they had? It was crazy.
I didn't see it, but I heard it was good.
It was very good. Fury got knocked down twice. Wilder got knocked down 3 times, I think. Crazy fight. Just an all-time great heavyweight fight. But people that I want to see fight, That's a good question. I really want to see Triple G and Canelo fight for a third time because they both had two very close fights. Other than Mayweather, he's the only guy to really give Canelo a run for his money.
Yeah.
So, and then there's a lot of also possible fights in the lightweight division. You know, Ryan Garcia.
Yeah, people like them in Israel, Adesanya, like people like them and all that.
Yeah, and
that's
Israel
like,
Adesanya in the UFC just defended his belt against Whitaker. I don't know who his next fight is, but he's a great fighter. Who's your favorite UFC fighter?
Well, so many of them. Like I said, I don't know who to pick, but like I said, I'll probably go with Israel. You know, Adesanya because he's a really good fighter and all that stuff. But I don't really keep up with it like that. Like I probably do other sports,
Right.
like football. That's my main thing. Other sports, but either way, yeah, I would like to see that. Yeah, he's a good fighter. I think. I think he can win him some more belts.
And then we've seen, you know, Usman, the 170 champ.
Oh, Usman, yeah.
Right. He and Canelo are around the same weight, so he's wanted to box him. Because do you remember McGregor and Mayweather had that boxing fight? So that'd be a huge pay-per-view event that would make tons of money. So.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you 100% on that trip. Yeah. So next up, I want to get into March Madness. Like, I haven't never done a bracket, but if you had to choose a team, who would you pick? The win for like the men's and the women's bracket.
Well, the women's bracket, I think this is kind of a boring pick, but I think that since UConn got Paige Beckers back,
Yeah.
I think that they're just a team that's ready to play. They haven't been as good
As they used to.
right, because they normally just always win the tournament, but they seem to always lose to Stanford, South Carolina. South
Arizona.
Carolina, yeah, is a huge contender, but
Yeah.
I would say UConn and I don't know. For the men's, at first I was thinking like Auburn. They have a very good team, and then they dropped almost
3
3
row.
in a row, and I just don't think a championship team can really do that.
Yeah.
To
and
be
especially-
honest, right?
And then especially doing it late in, like when it's about to be March Madness. I mean, yeah, you can't do that. If that's the case, then you should have did that at the beginning. You don't need to be doing that at the end, because then everybody gonna think you're just a fluke now or whatever, if that's the right word I'm saying about it. But yeah, everybody's gonna think you're a huge fluke and a huge bust. But like, I feel like Gonzaga, you know, and men's, they're probably, you know, always they're the favorite. Gonzaga, you know, Duke. I remember you telling me like Coach K is supposed to be his final last game.
Last home game, yeah. The tickets are going for like $5,000 a seat.
Oh yeah,
It's crazy.
Because Duke and UNC is a really great
Right.
rivalry.
UNC isn't that good this year, I'm pretty sure.
Well, yeah,
And-
'cause, you know.
But obviously in the tournament, you got all the blue bloods like Virginia, Baylor. They're always going to be contenders. But so it's so hard. That's why they somebody offered like money to get a perfect bracket because it's impossible pretty much. So that's my take on it. Same with the women's. Even if you know that there's only like 4 teams that can probably win it, it's just so hard because that's why they call it March Madness. There's so many upsets. It's crazy.
Oh yeah, and teams, you know, like Baylor, they of course were national champions in basketball, men's basketball. Now it's like I said, it's probably Gonzaga. You can put Arizona, you can put Kentucky, you can kind of put Kansas, and then if you go in women's, like you said, it's always going to be South Carolina, Stanford, UConn, like I said, Baylor, and LSU, because you know that woman named Kim Mulkey or whatever, the head coach, who was the head coach at Baylor, but then she went there. She left at Baylor, dropped for LSU, and LSU I think it's a pretty good basketball team. So I also feel like they could probably do something and maybe win the
And it
championship.
seems like
in the SEC.
there's always that Cinderella school that makes it far, but then there's also like a 6 seed that somehow makes it kind of far, you know.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
and we don't know what that team will be or the Cinderella story.
Oh yeah.
Like Loyola Chicago.
Ramblers, yeah.
Yeah, they're in the conference semifinal. I just saw on ESPN.
Yeah.
So they could be another upset
Yeah.
story.
And then they kind of like, you know, they got that 101-year-old woman. I think
Right.
her name, they call her Sister Jean. And
I wonder,
and all that
is she
stuff.
still alive?
I think she is,
Wow.
yeah. But I'm like, that's a long time.
Yeah, and she's still smokes.
Oh yeah, well that's great. I don't want to.
Whatever keeps you
I'm like
living.
I'm like, this woman done went for a daggone century and a year, and she's still living. And then not just that, Loyola Chicago, I think they're like the third best tournament team, in the whatever, like in history, because they went to the national championship in 1969.
Really?
I think that's when they won it. Then they went to the Final Four a few years ago, lost to Michigan. And then they played Oregon State last year, of course, and lost to them in the Sweet 16. So, yeah, they always been pretty okay. And then, like North Carolina, as you know, Roy Williams left as the head coach, and now they got Hubert Davis as the head coach, and of course, and they're okay because they're 22-8, but they're not great, but
they'll probably
they're
be
pretty
a
decent.
4 or 5 seed if you had to guess.
Yeah.
And they play in the ACC, which is a tough basketball conference. But the best one right now is the SEC, in my opinion.
Yeah, because like the ACC's kind of been horrible. Like, ain't nobody good. The only good team really there is Duke.
Right.
Duke and maybe Notre Dame, put Miami in there, put Florida State in there, but don't get too much excited about them because they're not good. Like also like Duke is. And then the SEC look like in football looks like that's just the best conference. Like you got it's like because I've been reading like all these other YouTubers and stuff, like Matt B. Great and whoever else K2O. Like the SEC is ruling college football because all the teams. You get Alabama, you get Georgia, you get LSU. I mean, who else you get? You get Oklahoma, Texas is gonna come in the SEC. A&M's pretty good. Ole Miss is good. I mean, LSU, they're horrible. Arkansas did pretty good.
And then you get the teams like LSU and Auburn who are normally good. And there's a bunch of SEC haters who say like, oh, other than the top, whatever teams, if you take those out, it's a normal conference. But you can't take those top teams out. Like the SEC always has like 2 to 3 top teams that are always very good, and that's what makes the conference so good.
And that's why Texas and Oklahoma win it, which I'm like, Texas is probably they're gonna probably be like, let's go back to the Big 12. But Oklahoma, I feel like they can be pretty good. But then I feel like now with all that stuff going on,
NIL, I feel like Texas has an advantage because they have a lot of money, so they can offer the players, money now with the NIL, and that's why A&M's going to be very good.
Yeah, I think because they used to be in the Big 12. Them, Missouri, Nebraska, who else? There's plenty of other teams. Arkansas, and I think now they done switched. Nebraska's in the Big 10. Then you got Texas A&M and Missouri in the. It was a lot because a lot of folks are going to forget. Like Pittsburgh used to be in the Big East. So did Syracuse. So did Louisville. So did I think the Rutgers Scarlet Knights I think they've always been. But
have they always been the Big 10? Rutgers.
I think they have. But I think I almost was say at one time they used to be the Big East.
Right.
But so many teams, and now they done switched. And now you got like Pitt in the ACC and all that stuff. And Maryland used to be in the ACC. A lot of folks are probably gonna forget about that. But now they're in the Big 10. So it's a lot of teams that moved, and now you got Texas, Oklahoma joining the SEC.
Huge news too. Normally powerhouses. So.
Yeah, and then you also got who else? Like you got teams like Cincinnati, BYU,
that
UCF,
are wanting
Houston.
to move to Power 5 conferences because they feel like they're too good for the Group of 5, and they want to make more money.
Yeah, they want to look like but Cincinnati did not look like they were a team, the non-Power 5 school to compete because they went 13-0, but then they lost to Alabama. Their defense did pretty okay, but that offense, Desmond Ritter could not get going.
Right, and I definitely think that lowered his draft stock.
Oh yeah, that messed it up completely. Cincinnati, they otherwise they were pretty good, but yeah, it's just like if you want to be the best, you got to beat the best.
And that leads us right into the next topic. How about that?
How about that NFL draft? Yeah. So a lot of folks are like Kenny Pickett. Like, of course, folks are doubting him because his hands are 8.5 inches. But I'm just like,
that's
but
ridiculous.
The thing is,
same thing with Joe Burrow. His hands were small.
Not just that, and then the thing I'm hearing is Michael Vick used to play. Of course, he had small hands. Look at what he did. Look how he changed the daggone game with his run ability. He's like an older Lamar Jackson if you think about it. And if only that stuff wouldn't happen, with the dogs and all that stuff. I mean, you probably ain't no telling what Michael Vick would have done with those Falcons. And now they're one of the worst franchises in history, and I said Falcons. Yeah, I mean the Falcons are the worst team in football.
But the draft is very interesting. It's normally headlined by QBs, but it's very weak
This
quarterback draft.
Yeah.
There's the Malik Willis for Liberty.
Yeah, he was actually the player. He was a player, I think, in SEC for Auburn, but he transferred.
Oh, really?
Yep.
I did not know that.
Because I remember hearing about him, and then I think he had left with Liberty. Look at what he kind of became there. Liberty's been a pretty good non-Power 5 school.
Yeah,
in
coached
their
by Hugh
conference.
Freeze, who's a former SEC coach.
Yeah, for
so,
Ole Miss.
Yeah, the draft, the projected first overall pick is an O lineman from Alabama.
Evan Neal.
Yeah, and then Aiden Hutchinson's projected to go second.
Yeah,
There's
you got
about 4
Kadon.
defensive Georgia Bulldogs who might go in the first
Yeah,
round.
Jordan, Kobe Dean, Trayvon
Jalen
Walker.
Carter,
Yeah.
Trayvon Walker.
I think.
Pickens is a second, third round pick.
Oh, yeah.
Lewis Seen is a third round pick.
You got like a few wide receivers from Alabama.
They had
Yeah.
Jameson
William
Williams.
and John Mechie, the one where they do that famous dance where they not famous celebration where it's like they put their hands up and they yap like that. So they'll probably go in the first round.
Right.
Who else? So you got like an NC State offensive player. I forget his name. I think what's his name? Edward. It's one of those.
Derek Stingley, a very good corner.
Oh yeah, for LSU, he had a pretty good freshman year, but then LSU's been down over the past years, and I kind of hated that Ed Eldron. Not trying to say nothing about Brian Kelly, but Brian Kelly's doing too much like that. One time,
Yeah. I heard you talk about it on I think it was episode 56.
yeah, just that part where he had this recruit
He
or
was
whatever,
dancing with
and
him.
he was dancing, and he was behind him, and everybody like, why you sitting up on
You
him
know the
like
funny
that?
part is that the guy that he was dancing with went to Alabama.
Oh.
So, and then he had the fake Southern accent.
Yeah, and it's just like, quit trying to be too hard. I mean, not too. Quit trying to be like Ed Eldron. You're not gonna be like Ed Eldron. You're not gonna you might win the national championship, but you're not gonna have that. I think Joe Burrow the best quarterback in the country. I like LSU. Go Tigers. Like you're not gonna beat him, and you're never gonna beat him to me. I mean, I feel like he's probably gonna be, in the greatest coach in history of LSU. Him and Les Miles. I'm just like, you're not gonna. Stop trying to be an LSU player like you're not. You're more of a
Right.
South Bend, Indiana Notre Dame head coach. You're not.
And then Notre Dame got a very good coach.
Yeah, Marcus Freeman. That was
He
a
was
great
their
hire.
defensive coordinator. He's a very good recruiter,
Yeah.
good players coach.
Yeah, he was with Cincinnati. Actually, they say he was defensive coordinator. I think there too.
Yeah.
He's transitioned to the head coach now that Brian Kelly left. So, yeah, I felt like they did a pretty good job with it. That was a great hire. Yeah, and it was just
And then, so the draft. Do you think it's smart for a team like the Jaguars that needs help everywhere?
Yeah, they need
obviously,
help. They ain't got no bright spots.
Other than Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
And then he didn't play specifically great, but he had no supporting cast at all.
Yeah,
Do you
you're
think it's
playing with
smart for
such
them
a
to take an O lineman because Lawrence obviously needs the protection?
Yeah, I think they do. Yeah, but I think if they would probably need to be the team that have round. They would need to be in the pick one,
They
pick
need
two.
32 picks.
Yeah, they need everything because they ain't getting nowhere.
It's
with
definitely
that
going to be a
football team.
rebuilding process.
Oh yeah,
and,
they were good a few years ago.
and it doesn't help that their coach Urban Meyer
that's
didn't
gone.
even survive a year. It's terrible.
Yeah, and then did all that crazy stuff. Like
Right.
it's
He was
just
a huge distraction.
Yeah, he was a huge disappointment in the NFL.
And then you have teams like the Lions, who
oh, yeah.
need a quarterback.
Oh,
but,
yeah, they need
But
everything.
do you take somebody like Malik Willis that high? That's the big question.
Yeah, I mean, whatever's gonna help, if something's gonna help,
Right.
something's gotta help. Like
Because
if
Jared
you
Goff,
they need everything.
Jared Goff isn't gonna.
He's
build
not
your
gonna survive.
franchise up.
Yeah,
I think
mean,
maybe
he
you
wa-
have to make a few trades.
Oh, yeah. But he was good with the Rams. I mean, he was good
The
one
game
year, but
manager,
then,
definitely.
Yeah, the Rams were they played one of the worst Super Bowls you could ever play in the
Scored
history
3
of Super
points.
Bowl. I mean, I'm just like, now I probably and then I'm like I probably could have scored something. No, probably not. But I'm just saying that was just one of the worst. That was a disgrace to everything. The sin.
Right.
It was horrible. I'm like, Y'all just should have got shut out 13-0. It shouldn't even been no 13-3. Y'all just should have scored 0 points.
Yeah.
It was just horrible.
And then the thing about the draft is, who's going to make that big pick that ends up turning around their franchise, and who makes the dumb pick.
Yeah.
I think that's the cool
Jets
thing about the
are
draft.
the dumb pick.
Right.
The Jets always have done dumb stuff.
Jets,
that's why they only won one
The Jets
Super
need some
Bowl.
help too. They have their franchise quarterback supposedly in Zach Wilson.
But Joe Namath, Joe Namath was he guaranteed for them to win the Super Bowl because they called that like the guarantee game or Joe Namath's guarantee, and that was the only Super Bowl that they didn't have. Otherwise than that, the New York Jets have been one of the worst football organizations. Them, the Browns, Lions. I mean, it's plenty more, but
the Bears, they have their franchise quarterback, but he has no help. Fields.
Yeah, 1985 was the last time they won the Super Bowl, and they mauled the Patriots 46-10.
It's when they had the fridge.
Yeah, the refrigerator. You had Mike Ditka as a head coach.
The Super Bowl shuffle.
Yeah, and then the next 20 years, the next like 21 or 22 years, of course, they had Devin Hester, the greatest return man in the history. Then you had Brian Urlacher or whatever you call him. He was pretty good. He dominated because the Bears they're called the famous monsters of the Midway. Just like you got the Vikings, the purple whatever, and then like the Rams, you got the fearsome foursome. So yeah, that's a
and
lot
the
of names.
Seahawks, the Legion of Doom.
Boom. Oh yeah,
Right.
that's one. Yeah, but now they're the Legion of Doom. Now.
Yeah.
The Legion of Doom, because that defense, there's no defense there.
What do you
Jamal
think about
Adams
Russell
ain't
Wilson? It seemed after his finger surgery, he was a little rough.
Well, we all know it. I think we all knew this if we didn't know nothing else. It's the Rams and the 49ers division now. It's not the Seahawks division. I mean, the Seahawks have lost to the Rams so many times it don't make no sense either there.
Well, as a Cardinals fan, I will say.
Well, yeah. Hey, they lost to the Rams 34-11 in the playoffs. I mean, if that don't tell you nothing, I don't know what will.
Well, Kyler Murray wants a big contract. That's what he's been arguing for. He wants to get paid like a top 5 QB. What's your thoughts on that?
I mean, yeah, I think he deserves. I think he's pretty good. It's just that I'm not DeAndre. Well, he was hurt, and then J.J. White. I mean, he can't do it all by himself. I mean, it was just crazy.
Yeah,
and then,
our D-line is solid. We have Chandler Jones, Jordan Hicks. He's a linebacker.
Yeah.
Our safety, we have
Buda
Baker, very good. Our corners, we have Byron Murphy. He's solid.
Yeah.
We need a bit better O-line. We don't have a premier running back. We have two. We have Chase Edmonds and James Conner. And I think we could use a lot more depth. But I think we're a playoff team, and we're getting there definitely.
Like I heard, they just need to figure out. Like the first half, they're a pretty good team, and the first half of the season. It's just that the second half, they start going down.
And Cliff
like,
Kingsbury has a reputation of doing that.
Oh yeah, especially he was the head coach at Texas Tech. They would have it where they had they would have a good first 6-7 games, and then the next thing you know, they're 5-7, and not 5-2. They're on 5 in their last 5 games, and they're not even in the bowl.
It's like
game.
the Steelers a lot. They start off good and then
kind of the same with the Cowboys too.
Right.
Yes,
And the Steelers, their QB situation. Speaking of Malik Willis, he's a potential landing spot for him.
Get him Matt Corral, whoever.
Right, Matt Corral.
I think these quarterbacks could be pretty good. I think they are, but it's just that
Desmond Ridder, he's second, third round maybe.
Yeah.
That probably not a first round QB. Maybe Corral maybe is, but I feel like Willis is a first round QB.
Yeah, and I feel like some of these teams, like Pittsburgh, if you think about it, they're already a playoff team. The Saints, they're already a playoff team. But the thing is, I feel like all they just need to do is get a quarterback. They'll be fine. They'll be fine.
Right.
They don't need nothing. I feel like teams like that, Broncos, a lot of folks keep on talking about them. I'm like, nah. The Titans probably yes. They just find them a quarterback because Ryan Tannehill had he wasn't really
in the
that
playoffs. He's not good. The running game carries him.
Yeah, Derrick Henry, and I think they missed a lot with him, and they needed him. Derrick Henry is King Henry. He's one of the best running backs. Yeah, he's the best running back since Chris Johnson who the Titans had. Yeah, and of course he was the 8th running back to have over 2,000 yards. And
2,000
history
yards
of
in a
NFL.
season is crazy.
Yeah. If you can get that, you're a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
You're definitely
And another potential landing spot, I know you've talked to me about this at school and stuff, in the Saints quarterback situation.
with Jameis Winston.
It takes someone like Willis, Pickett, Corral. Those are your three kind of headliner guys of the draft. And Willis ran a 4.5, a 4.4 for a quarterback, 40. That's very good.
Yeah.
Just, you want to talk about your Saints, I guess?
Well, let me talk. Yeah, thank you. I'm glad you made me wonder. I'm glad we thought about that. So either way, with Taysom Hill over the last 2 years, I heard he's 6-2 as a starter, and then not just that, he beat the Buccaneers 9-0. Not him, but the Saints defense. The Saints defense was good this year, and they left out with Drew
any
Brees.
way possible. He doesn't have to play quarterback.
Yeah.
Do you think he's that guy that can take y'all's franchise? Because he's not like built to be your prototypical QB. So
Well, we all know Ian Book is not that. We all know Drew Brees, of course, left. Jameis Winston, I feel like he could do probably good. It's just like he had that torn ACL.
he turns the ball over a lot.
Yeah, famous Jameis, 30 touchdowns, 30 interceptions.
But I feel like if you give him a good supporting cast, if Michael Thomas comes back healthy, that good O-line, a good defense with Cameron Jordan and Alvin Kamara.
And then, but then, they said he got arrested
Right.
for assault battery charge after the Pro Bowl, and that's just like. And then, Sean Payton stepping down as a head coach, and I felt like Denzel might be good because he was the defensive coordinator.
And y'all have a very strong defense.
Our defense was bad. Our defense was the only thing carrying us to the playoffs. But either way, like I said, I mean, if Jameis Winston's not that dude, then you just got to put Taysom as the next.
Yeah, y'all couldn't really catch a break lately.
I feel like Taysom Hill could still do good in his role, like how he does Mr. Do-It-All, of course. But, yeah, either way, I feel like they just need a quarterback and they'll be good. They'll be good. Quarterback, what's Alvin Kamara's status? We don't know for sure yet. Have him, get somebody else, and then, figure out what's going on with Michael Thomas. And with him not wanting to get the surgery at the right time, just making his team to sit there and do it all by himself. Almost went to the playoffs with a 9-8 record.
Other than Michael Thomas, what are the receiver options like?
Deontay Harris.
Callaway?
Yeah, Marquez
Tennessee.
Callaway. He was pretty okay. Yeah, he was a pretty good. He balled out. Who else?
You got Kamara in the backfield. He's always a good pick because he's so shifty.
Oh yeah. But either way, yeah, I feel like those are probably the best two. Hopefully get Michael Thomas back, see what his status is. But either way, we'll just have to figure it out, see what happens over the off season. So next up, I want to get into NFL Super Bowl predictions. I know we have talked about that. It's hard for a team to repeat as Super Bowl champions, and I'm wondering if the Rams, I feel like they could do it, but they said it's been hard to repeat. Can't nobody repeat as Super Bowl champions. So it might, and the Packers, you don't know what's going on with Aaron Rodgers. I feel like if you'd asked me the Cowboys, I feel like the 49ers could maybe be the next team to probably go back to it. And if you ask me in the AFC, it's loaded with a bunch of young quarterbacks, but I feel like just put the Bengals, Chiefs, Titans, Ravens, whatever. Those are the top four, my top four in the AFC. But if you'd ask me, in the NFC, we all know it's probably either the 49ers, the Rams, the Packers, and that situation there with Rodgers.
I think Rodgers will come back, but the Rodgers situation.
Packers drama is just crazy.
Right, and you obviously have your teams like the Chiefs, the Bills, very possible.
Yeah.
Maybe the Titans if they can find a quarterback.
Oh yeah, they already got the running game. They sacked Joe Burrow 9 times and he still managed to beat.
The Bengals, they got to get a better O-line, but the
yeah.
Bengals obviously, and the NFC, possibly my Cardinals, hopefully. I don't think so. You get 49ers, Rams, all those just good teams. Not the Cowboys. It's never their year. So.
Yeah, it's not been their year since 1994. So we'll just have to see what goes with that. And then next up, CFP predictions. We all know, likely Alabama's probably going to go back to the championship.
Ohio State. C.J. Stroud. They are losing Chris Olave
and
Garrett Wilson. But Jackson Smith and Jigba.
No, Jackson Smith and Jigba, they said is coming back.
He is coming back. And he is very good. Very good.
That legendary performance he had in the Rose Bowl, that was good. That was great to see. And then you go, I think Marvin Harrison Jr., he had like 8 receptions for like 60-some yards for 3 touchdowns.
Great bloodline.
Yeah, and then you got a good running back in Travion Henderson, Master T. I mean, the defense kind of been, a little crazy. The defense hasn't really been good over the past few years. But, that's probably how they just need to figure out what they're going to do there. And
I think Ohio State and Alabama are the top 2. Georgia's going to have a little bit of an off year, in my opinion, because we're losing so much of defense. But we reload because we have so much 5-star talent. Yeah, and the Brock Bowers and then Stetson Bennett, to me, he's not the great quarterback. Right. Everybody claims him to be, but hey, he took Georgia to the national championship. So it's fine. Yeah, and
hopefully they'll.
Thing about Stetson, he's not that super talented guy. I don't think he's that great overall, but he had a very good team, and he was able to. He was a good game manager.
Yeah, so. And the only thing that carried us a lot, I feel like, was that defense. But I'm just like, if we need Stetson Bennett, we really need to. Is he gonna be that 4,000 yard touchdown quarterback? No, he's not. He's gonna be that 2,500 yard, 22 touchdown, maybe 3 interception quarterback.
Right.
Either way.
Yeah, and you have a team like Clemson who is not going to benefit. They're not going to benefit off the NIL because they don't have as much money. And DJ Uiagalelei, he's not that good. I think Clemson still has a talented roster.
Yeah,
but I think their time is coming soon. I don't think they're going to be as elite as they have been. And the same thing with Georgia and Clemson both have easy schedules. Georgia's hardest game is probably Oregon, because Florida and Auburn have been kind of tailing off.
Yeah.
And, Oregon, Georgia gets to see Bo Nix again.
Oh, yeah. And then
oh my gosh, Georgia's DC is going to Oregon.
I don't even know.
Glenn Schumann, I think. That might be it. I don't know. I don't pay too much attention to the OC and DC, but he got hired, and then Clemson has an easy schedule, and they're a talented team. Like they play in the SEC or ACC, and
nobody's good.
And the ACC is terrible.
Oh yeah.
And they'll just wipe through that, and they could, like Georgia, get into the playoff, and I think Georgia has a better chance of making it to the Natty than Clemson. I think they could both get in the playoff. But I think the 2 headliners are Ohio State and Alabama, and probably Georgia, because we just reload. We're that talented. I don't think a team like Oklahoma's in the picture, because as you were telling me over there, Caleb Williams, Lincoln Riley,
both went to USC.
Spencer Rattler, he stinks, but
Yeah, but
any surprise teams you think? You think Michigan?
No.
I agree.
Hassan Haskins left. I mean, their running game was okay, but after how they got below that against Georgia and played that horrible game, they ain't going nowhere.
They need to start J.J. McCarthy over McNamara, in my opinion.
And then you got Aiden Hutchinson leaving. Michigan's up. No, it's fine if Alabama. Yeah, it's Ohio State's team.
Any surprise teams you think?
Now, if Oregon beats Georgia, I would definitely put them there. If Oregon can't, and Oregon beat Ohio State. So
they're always a good team.
Yeah, you can't still deny them, but it's just like how they got blowed out against Utah twice. That can't happen.
Yeah, there's a lot of teams that are always, or normally like Oregon.
Yeah, they're one of your
LSU, A&M. Even though LSU not this year, definitely.
Yeah. Ole Miss.
They're right.
Arkansas. A good bit of the SEC seems to get a little better.
Always in that 10th through 15th ranking range. Yeah. But you think there's a group of 5 surprise team other than Cincinnati, maybe like Boise State, UCF?
BYU.
Right, that's a good point.
BYU, yeah. Who else? Louisiana, Raging Cajuns. I mean, they did beat Iowa State, but then folks going to be like, that could be surprise teams, but I feel like, no, you're just not going to. It's the non-Power 5, so you're not really going to hear about it as much.
Good point.
So, and last but not least, before we go, I want to get into the NBA basketball. You and me want to get into the NBA basketball MVP conversation. Ja Morant, he could probably be a good MVP,
I think so. He captures like such a wide audience. He's a very popular, flashy player.
Yeah. He's on them fun, like he makes it fun.
Right. And he tries to hit all these crazy dunks and stuff, and that's why some people call him Jalmos Morant, because he almost does the cool stuff. They can't quite get it. And then you have
DeMar DeRozan.
Very clutch. I saw a video about him. He it was like his MVP case. He has the most fourth quarter points.
Buzzer beaters.
Right. He hit back-to-back buzzer beaters, and he's just been very clutch and a huge piece for the Bulls, Lonzo Ball and Alex Caruso have helped him a lot, and now the Bulls are a good team, and they have a bright future. Because a lot of people were saying the DeRozan trade was a bad trade.
Yeah, but it turned out it was.
Yeah, very good trade.
Yeah.
Also have Joel Embiid.
Yeah, it definitely. I feel like he might be the front runner. Then you got Giannis and Nikola again. I feel like it's a lot.
I don't think they'd give it to Nikola back to back, and I don't think he's the best player this year. So.
But then you got to look at it. He has had it like you're playing without Jamal Murray,
right?
And Michael Porter Jr., who's becoming a rising star. So I feel like, and now since Nikola really there, he's really the only bright spot now that Jamal got toward the ACL. So I feel like they could probably. I mean, he could probably win it. He would need to have more triple doubles and score maybe more points, and I think he would be good, and he could probably win it. Then there was one more thing I was about to say, but I forgot. Yeah, whatever it was. But either way, yeah, it could be any of them people.
Yeah, very tight race, and that's what gets people to watch. See, if DeRozan drops 50, maybe that puts him ahead, you know.
Yeah, it's like.
But who do you think Jokic is like the most valuable to his team, and therefore deserves the award?
Yeah, I feel like he could probably. And then this here, some thought I had. You know, Lakers are just they're bad. I mean, you lose to the Clippers. You don't lose to the Suns. You lose to the Clippers. They ain't got Paul George or Kawhi Leonard. Reggie Jackson scored 36 points. They got whooped by 21 points, the Lakers. I don't know what's going on.
It's crazy.
It's horrible. It's just horrible to see the Lakers. Because the Lakers are just, they're horrible. It's like Kobe, probably, I mean, and rest in peace to him, to a legend, but it's just like, the Lakers are just horrible. Yeah. So, yeah, that's about it. So, is there anything you wanted to say before we go?
Not really. You?
Shout out to, of course, you got me this present. Shout out to, of course, everybody, like my coaches, teachers, my fans who support me, you, my mom, and everything. So I just want to say, and I'm glad I had you on my show, and
Thanks
hopefully I get to have you another time.
Can I give a shout out?
Oh yeah,
all right.
Do what you got.
I want to shout out my mom and my dad, Mark, my friends, and yeah, that's it. All right.
Bye. See y'all later.
Bye.